Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. How I won at life, the math of life, the math of winning. There were possible options for the title for this video, but I really want to go over the math of winning to literally break it down into numbers on how you win at life. Most people define winning as getting the dream job, the big house, the nice car. But the truth is, if your dream still requires you to wake up to an alarm clock and do something because you have to, and not just because you want to, you didn't win. You just got good at losing slow. So first, let's go with some definitions. What does it mean to win at life? For me, it comes down to six words. To win at life, it's it's not about the moment that you made it or the day that you achieved something. It's if you live a life that is these six words, the continuous realization of a dream. So winning, to me, the continuous realization of a dream. It's not about success being that, job title or your position or how people talk about you. To me, winning at life is having time freedom. Because if you have time freedom and you don't have to sell your life 1 hour at a time, then you can fill your time with the things you love. And even the people that say they love their job. I've heard people say the thing where they go, I love my job so much I would do it for free. I loved my last job so much, it's the last one I'll ever do for money. If I look back, I think I actually kind of loved almost all my jobs, right? I've been a Marine, a cop, a truck driver, a CDL instructor. I've had jobs I pursued and got and enjoyed once I got them, but they still had an alarm clock, a schedule, responsibilities, stress I didn't know existed until I left and retired. It's like there's this weight on your shoulders you can't know is there until it lifts. You can't see it, you can't recognize it. It's hurting your health, it's hurting your relationships. And if you can reach time freedom, now, if you have a job because you want to, because imagine how many people go, I have a great boss, I have great coworkers, I love my pay, and they still say, thank God it's Friday. They're still living for that weekend, whatever days off they get, whatever week or two vacation they get every year. That's not winning, that's tolerating. So the math of freedom, if we come down to just math, what does it take to never have to work again, to get that time freedom? So you don't have to sell your life 1 hour at a time. There's three numbers involved here. Two, I've talked about a lot. Two, I find all over YouTube University. The third one, I haven't heard anybody mention. So the first thing in this math is what I call the financial independence number. So financial independence and financial freedom are different. The first number is financial independence. Independence is when you have money coming in that will cover all of your bills. So work isn't quite optional because you can't handle a pandemic, a recession, a stock market crash, a health concern. But you could change jobs without worrying about how much you're making. You could maybe look for a job that you don't hate as much, right? That's financial independence. Financial freedom is when you have a multiplier. And so it's on a sliding scale. The more money you need every month in your financial independence number, I think the smaller multiplier you need. So an example is if you need $1,000 a month to live because you geo arbitrage and you move to Thailand or somewhere where the dollar is really strong, I wouldn't retire if you had $1,000 a month coming in that you don't have to work for. Because now, what do you do when you have that health concern or you have to take a trip home for something? The less you need, so if it's only 1,000, I would want you to have like a 6 or 7 time multiplier. Once you're getting $6 or $7,000 a month, now maybe retire if you only need 1,000. I spend around 4,000 a month. And that's, I drive a paid off vehicle. I live in a paid off duplex where the tenant basically pays me to live here. I eat out a lot. When I travel, I don't go to really expensive countries. I go to places where the dollar's strong, like Colombia and Thailand and Portugal. Portugal's kind of coming off the list as far as dollar strength, though. Uh, so I need about 4,000 to be financially independent. When my cash flow passed 16,000 a month, I felt kind of silly going to work. Four-time multiplier meant I can handle my needs, my wants, and the black swan events. So those are the first two numbers that let me know. Everybody's talked about financial independence, financial freedom. What's your financial freedom number? I haven't heard anybody talk about this one. When you retire early, when you have time freedom and you don't need to work anymore, and you walk away from the grind, you escape the rat race, how much would you like coming in every month that you can invest? I talk about when you've won the game, stop playing. Don't take big risks, but in retirement, living off of about 4,000 a month, my financial freedom number being 16, cash flow being around 21, I'm setting aside every month somewhere between 10 to $18,000 for the next investment. Yeah, I could go buy an RV, I can buy a boat. Looked into both, decided I'm too lazy to own either. So I'll do the rent thing. It's probably far cheaper the amount of time I'm actually going to use it. But I will continue to add a rental every couple of years. I'm set to find another one in 2025. I think this is a great year to buy. We're in a buyer's market. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. So I'm looking forward to the next property I'm going to buy. And it's because the money keeps piling up. So if you get your financial independence and you walk away from your job, you're not ready for a black swan event. If you get to your financial freedom and you don't continue to save and invest, all of the skills that you learned and developed over the probably decade it took to reach financial freedom can be wasted. So there's a balancing act you have to learn right now because the goal of moving the goalpost, because there is one way that I have won at life. It is a superpower of mine. Financial freedom isn't just when work becomes optional. It's when investing becomes optional too. But if you get stuck in that mindset where if I work one more year, because when I retired in 2022, it would have been my highest earning income year at my job, right? I would have had another year if I continued to work where I made really good money. Another year where my portfolio didn't have to support my lifestyle. Another year to grow the investments. It will always mathematically make sense to continue working. So this is where the math of winning comes in, because it's not just about more. Well, it's nice to be able to invest more. It's nice to be ready for the black swan events. My superpower, one of them, is knowing what is enough. It takes a balance. Avoid that trap of one more year. There were people who were confused when I retired. They were literally listing off all the things I just did. You're making a ton of money. You can continue to invest. If you don't work, your investments are going to have to pay for your life. Most of them didn't know that they had been for 4 years. But more for the sake of more is just a treadmill. And I prefer the escalator. I don't have to power the treadmill. I can just stand on the escalator. Ever notice the escalators can't break? They can only become stairs. Winning isn't about beating other people, having bragging rights for unit count or stock portfolio size. Winning at life is being better than the person you used to be when you just settled for life. Time freedom gives you the ability to do what you want, when you want, or more importantly, not do what you don't want. When I walked away from my job, I had been demoted down to president of the trucking company as a CDL school. And I interacted with state agencies, uh, nonprofits. I founded my own nonprofit that helped people find jobs in non-truck driving positions. But I interacted with the CEOs and the managers and the owners of about 1,200 trucking companies. About, I want to say it's 6 to 10. So it was more than six. I don't know that it hit a dozen. Companies sent me letters of interest in hiring me, like headhunter positions, but not headhunters because it was the people I'd been working with. Most of them made over 300,000 a year, and I wasn't making 300,000 a year in my position as the president of the CDL school. Two aspects of this. One, it felt kind of cool to have the attention. I had built a reputation in my industry that I kind of know what I'm doing, and that'd be worth a significant amount if I came and grew their company like I did the trucking school I was at. But what felt really good was politely saying no. Life is about more than money. You win at life when you make money just a thing. Because as the basketball player said, when you don't have enough, it's the only thing. And once you have enough, it's just a thing. But if you can get to the point where you have enough and it doesn't come from you selling your life 1 hour at a time, then you can build a life where you do win. Maybe it's volunteer work. Maybe it's one of your hobbies. Maybe it's pursuing a job you're not even sure you can do, but not caring if you lose it. In the past, I have asked people to put your financial freedom number, your financial independence number in the chat. Today, what I'm going to do is ask you something different. I'm going to ask you in the chat, put in your dream life. What does life look like for you when you don't have to work for money? And let's see what it would take to get you there. I actually meant to hit record at the beginning and make a separate video out of the beginning of that, so I don't know that I will now. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday of overshares from drinking because I'm out of everything to drink except for vodka. I didn't even get Mountain Dew to mix it with. The book is out. It is on Amazon. It is not available because Amazon is teasing me, saying, it sent me an email saying it's published. Here's your link. Go for it. But when you go to Amazon, it currently just says not available, which is lots of fun. Still not available. So I have confirmed. The purpose of these Tuesday live streams is to actually answer your questions. On Thursdays and Saturdays, I do a live stream that is, 10 to 20 minutes long, and I see the comments after the video. But tonight, I'm going to go through each one. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. All questions are available. I will even answer the rude ones, but not the bots. Bots get blocked. Cracked Canvas. Howdy. Good to see you here. Hopefully it was good information since you were looking forward to seeing it. Meowdy, Dirty's Detour Discoveries. That sounds like an adult store. Probably not. Can't wait to grab the book. Alantino, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. I went with paperback. I self-published through Amazon. I don't know if I'll do a hardback edition because I'm trying to make it affordable. I went with a price. I kept it under $20. It basically costs almost $20 to print with Amazon. I don't know if you're aware of how that works. They're really tricky with their math. They go, the author gets 60%, Amazon only takes 40%. Sounds great. But then they take the cost of printing out of only the author's 60%. It's not how I would expect business models to work. I would think you would go, here's the cost to produce. We take that out. What's left, we divide 60-40. But no, it's not how it works. So I kept it under 20. I went with 1974 because that's Chesla's birthday. So I'm a nerd and she's important to me. So that's the price. It's available. I will probably start recording the Audible in like a month, and that'll probably take 2 months to do. So Audible version will be out in 3 to 5 months, depending on how long it takes to get their system to work. I'll probably do an ebook version, but I prefer the print. The whole point of the book was to put it in print so people have print for the people who learn that way. I messed up on the size of the book. I wanted to be all inclusive. I wanted to put everything in there. And I was writing on a Mac, which uses Pages. And I got to 187 pages, and I thought that would be the perfect length for a book because I'd be killing it, which is a cop joke because that's the code for murder, death, kill. And sent it to the formatter, hired a formatter guy off of Fiverr because I'm doing this self-published. I don't have a team, it's just me. But I hired this guy, really good job, good interactions, left several good reviews. He formats it for Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. I keep wanting to say DKP because I'm a nerd and a gamer, but it's KDP. Well, when he formatted it, apparently the font, the margins, and everything, it's a 486 page book. I hope everybody enjoys it. It is a complete mind dump of the decade it took to reach financial freedom, the mind shifts, the actionable lessons, my Dionisms. I have a chapter on the things I do kind of backwards that work for me. Uh, there's one chapter on my story. I tried to make it, it's not a novel, it's not a book, it's an instruction manual. When you are screening tenants, when you are advertising a unit, when you are finding a market, when you are picking a strategy, when you are looking at the 6 steps to getting started in real estate investing or reaching financial freedom, there's an index. There's an actual index at the front of the book, like books used to have 20, 30 years ago, where to go for what chapter, what page. And I believe the Kindle version will be clickable links. Wayne Wong, howdy. Wayne, the name Wayne reminds me of my nephew Wayne, who is currently under contract for his second property, a duplex just outside the base where he's stationed at currently. But howdy, Wayne, how are you? Had a hard time finding the book link. Yeah, it's releasing in stages, which is mildly frustrating. But it said within 72 hours, and I posted it Sunday evening, and I don't know that Sunday night counted. The book link's still showing unavailable. Howdy, Michelle, who might help me get to the Spanish version out to people. Dark Spring, howdy. Now that you know that it's 486 pages, Michelle, are you still interested in putting in that much time and energy? Freedom Works, howdy. Anna K, howdy. Book is not available yet. No, it is not. But I did answer your comment on from chat. So I hope that helps. Rent control makes the binder strategy important. There are years where I would do a 5% increase with tenants because I had done the binder strategy, got them to ask me to raise the rent. And then I said, okay, there won't be any increase next year unless there's something weird that happens with the market. And the following year, we'll do 5%. So they had a 2-year lead on a 5% increase. I wouldn't do the binder again. With rent control, I'm going to do the binder every year just so tenants know that even though we're doing the maximum allowable increase, this is how far below you are from area average rents. Keeping them happy. Happy tenants don't trash your property, and happy tenants don't leave. That, everything I just did in a little more detail, is in a chapter in the book too. Big beautiful book. Where are you? That is awesome. Oh, I could have nailed that title. No. Dividend Dave. Howdy. That would be really cool, Christopher. I like it. Ninja Vanish. Howdy. Aloha Mark. Good to see you here. Jay Sick. Howdy. Financial firefighter. Kindness, are you still in school? Good question. Olinka, howdy. That reminds me. Course call tonight, 6 o'clock. It's just us. There's no guests this time, and this will not be recorded. All of the other recordings from the July course calls, because I do course calls every other month. There won't be any for October or for August. There will be full month of calls in September, not October, then November. That's how months work. Uh, Giving people time to progress their portfolio to bring up at the next calls. The call tonight is the gray area sketchy stuff we can't say on YouTube and don't want recorded. Mikey, howdy. Good to see you. KS, that should be on a t-shirt. It should be. I would like to see that on a t-shirt. Uh, Behave now. JSEC. Did I miss something? No, he's got to behave. We'll try your best. There is no requirement to behave here. There is a requirement to not be rude to anybody in the comments. You can be as rude as you want to me. No Mondays, always Saturdays. Howdy, nephew. Under contract on that duplex. Nervous. It doesn't go away. All the jitters and nerves that you're experiencing right now, that happens on the eighth property just as much as it happens on the second. It might change a little. There will be something new every time. A-Rod, howdy. Do you think you'd still be working if COVID didn't happen? Seems like this once in a lifetime situation. I was financially free in 2018. Massive inflation created the opportunity compared to the average 3 to 5% increases in rents. No, I was financially free by 2018. COVID didn't happen until 2020. Closed on my fourplex in January 6th of 2020. So it would have been like the very impetus. Hadn't even shut down the world yet. No, in 2020, everybody was saying you only did this because interest rates before 2018 were under 6%. And in 2018, people were saying you only did this in 2015 because everybody was waiting for the crash because the silver tsunami was going to happen. In 2015, everybody said you only did this in 2013 because prices were just now getting back to where they were in 2008. Every single 2 years of my 50 plus years of life, everyone has said the only reason somebody's successful is because they did it 2 or more years ago. It will be 2028, and people will be saying, "Oh my gosh, can you imagine if we could have bought properties in 2025 when interest rates were only 7% and home prices hadn't gone up so much more because the dollar lost so much more value because those idiots turned on the money printer again, or whatever black swan event's going to happen between now and then?" No. Financial freedom happened between 2013 and 2018. I continued to work because I loved my job. I was testing my portfolio, living 100% off rental income. Did I benefit from COVID? Yes. But how many watched the Crash Bro videos, sat on their butts, and still leave stupid comments going on the Crash Bro videos? I'm so glad I listened to you. My fiance almost convinced me to buy a property in 2021. And they've literally missed out on 3 great years. These are good years. They're not much better than 2012 to 2015 were. Those property values went up way faster than they did in the last 3 years. So it's a good question. It's a very common one. Uh, you could probably tell from the tone of my voice that it's almost like that you're only financially successful because you got lucky, right? No, there will all money is always going to lose value. It's not backed by anything. Inflation is going to be a thing. AI is going to make work harder and harder to get because it's going to replace more and more people. It is a race to own assets. Anybody not buying assets today is going to regret it. I'm not saying hurry. Don't rush. You'll make mistakes or you'll be tempted to buy a bad deal just to close on something. But you should be doing the work. Study your market, study your asset. It could be stocks or crypto or running a business. I don't care what your asset class is. Master it and put your money to work today. Olga Area, Frank. I love the escalators. Me too. Chester, good evening, Dion and everyone. Congrats on publishing the book. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's something I wasn't sure I would ever do. Uh, Started talking about it, and then I realized that putting it in print, because what I talked about very specifically to uh, A-Rod's question, I even point out the strategies that I think have a window of opportunity. There are people who did the Burr method when prices were going up and interest rates were coming down. And so if you made a huge mistake and you waited 3 months, the market fixed your mistake. So there is times where certain investing is what you should be doing. I don't know those markets. I don't invest that way. I invest in what's called evergreen investing. My strategy works if property values go down or up, if rents flatline. It doesn't, you don't need market conditions to do what I did. I did it every single year when I was closing on a property. There were people screaming, this is why you shouldn't be buying right now. And I wanted it in writing to show to for myself to think, when I look at this, can I compare it to 2013, 15, 18, 20, 21, 23? Every year I was closing on a property. Some years, I think 2020 is the only year I closed on two in one year. Uh, yeah. And that was, I guess, so there's, yeah, but it's in writing now. And so I don't know if I could say this or if this is just going to sound flat out stupid. I'm half tempted to write a fantasy novel because I have a fantasy story. I'm a gamer. I have a fantasy story I would like to write down. And the idea is if I write it down, I can stop thinking about it. Because while it's not written and it's in the ethereal part of my mind, I can keep adjusting and tweaking it and changing it. But if I write it down, then it's real. Martin Properties, howdy, Josh. Good to see you. Wealth with Rentals, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. That is more than I will make on every book sale, but much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. I have 2 units available now, and school season starts here in August 4th. So I missed the summer move peak time, unfortunately. What market are you in, Wealth with Rentals? Uh, I don't know that I've ever had anybody move in or out before or after school, but I don't target good school districts and I don't target families. But I'm also in a market where the winter doesn't murder you. So all my leases actually end in December. Adjust for your local market because real estate is local. Dark Spring. Dream life, probably one big international trip every 3 months. That's good. I kind of think I said that too until you do several international trips and you realize how much traveling sucks. The being there is great, but the traveling, not so much. But every 3 months, I like it. Not have to worry about any bill back home while traveling. Yeah, there you go. It is a huge world we live in, and there's tons to see. Laura, howdy. Good to see you. See, I am 24 and my dream life includes spending more time with my future wife and kids. Corporate America has taught me very quickly how precious time freedom is. I agree. Time with your kids is very important. It's there were years that it sucked as a single parent. There were some years as a truck driver and some years as a police officer when my kids were really young. And I always had like revolving, rolling schedules. So some of the actual quality time I had with my kids, I had to volunteer at their school. Like there was a period of about 3 years where I spent Tuesday and Thursday at my kids' schools, arts class or whatever part of volunteer work that they could do, because I was working when it just was a bad schedule. So as financial freedom came, I have made sure to prioritize my, I have a daughter who has weekends off. I have a son who has weekdays off. Then I have a daughter whose schedule changes often. I've made sure with time freedom that my schedule is not the reason why we can't hang out. And daddy-daughter date yesterday. We watched a nice horror film, which is what every parent should be doing with their grown-up kids. Don't know how the autopsy of Jane Doe had missed my radar, but I hadn't seen it, and neither had she. Uh, love it. A-Rod, Amazon's model is like property managers. They make more than you. That is very, very accurate. They, actually, if I did the math, oh, they definitely make more than I do. Wealth with Rentals. What incentives should I give to potential tenants to help find the right tenant and lease my units and not have to wait till next year? I don't think it would ever be a year wait. You just might not get the person who moves in for the school district reason. That is a factor, but it is not what controls people moving. A lot of times it's property sale, change in size of family, not just school. So there's a couple trains of thought here. The first one, if you're struggling to find a tenant, have you done your rent study correctly? Large apartment complexes go with concessions before they lower rent, but there's a balance here. So concessions means $500 off your first month's rent, half a month's rent off free, full free month. A couple places do a couple months rent free because they don't want to lower the rent, especially in rent controlled places. They want to give you an incentive to get in there, and then you're locked in at that amount, and they can increase from there in the future and stay close to market. That's the one thought. Concessions. What can you do to attract somebody? Me, I like to review the rents and make sure my rent amount is a bit, at least a little, 5% or so below area average. Because think of a new investor. Let's say rent in your area is 2,000. And you think, well, I'm the new shiny listing. Everything in there is clean. It's got new hardwood floors or new LVP, whatever you've done, you've painted, and you think, I'm going to get 2,100. If you're in a market where the average rent is 2000 and you have the new market, and that's not what people rent for. They don't rent for the new floors or the paint. They're looking at distance to work, distance to school. What are the attractions in the area, right? There's a different way to advertise to tenants than it is to owners. The dumb, I'm not calling people dumb, I'm saying some people can be dumb, but the dumb renters don't do a rent study. They have no idea 2100 is more than the area average. So you get bad applicants, people who make bad financial decisions. So you're going to have a ton of applicants if your rent's too high who don't have a good credit score. You put in the listing, I require a 650, I require 700, but you put in whatever you do. You have somebody with a 460 apply. Yeah, they go that low because they don't pay attention to their finances. So I like to do a rent study and then just be just below it because the tenants who have also done a rent study are more likely to apply. You're still going to get the idiots. There isn't a filter for that, right? But you get better quality tenants. So I did a video when I was in Juneau, Alaska one time out on I was standing on the water. Uh, the fear when we're a new investor is, what if a property's empty for several months and I have to carry the mortgage? Adjust that to how much might I have to lower the rent because my rent study was off before I get a tenant in there? So if the rent in your area is 2000 a month and you think, because you said, I just have to wait till next year, you're talking 12 months of carrying the mortgage. Let's even say it was 6 months of carrying the mortgage. At 2000 a month, you're going to lose $12,000 by waiting 6 months. Okay. Or let's say you lower it to 1800 a month. And now mentally your brain is like, oh my gosh, I'm losing $200 a month. That's stupid. Why did I buy this rental? But you're also getting 1800 a month for those 6 months. So instead of waiting till next year and losing months, you lose a little bit every month, but maybe you're still not negative. You just don't have as big a profit margin as you did. How detailed was your rent study? Can you adjust that? If your rent study is accurate, then it's concessions. And it's also maybe email me. I'll put my email in the chat. Send me your listing, and maybe I can think of here's what you might have done a little different in your listing to attract more tenants. I used to make a huge mistake. I would I would advertise it like an owner does. Here's a picture of the front. Here's the age of the building. Here's how many square feet it is. Here's the school district it's in. And I would get a little bit of attention. And then I got to know Matt, the lumberjack landlord, and people who've taken their course can tell me how accurate this is. I took his information and I stopped thinking like an owner. Tenants don't care when the building was built. Tenants don't care they don't even know how to calculate square footage in most cases, or in many cases at least. Where's the nearest park? What college are you close to? How far are you from the places where the big economic drivers or sources of tenants where people work are? Is that clearly listed in bullet form content in your listing? And then maybe a little bit of data about the listing itself. Ninja Vanish, are you willing to do an about the author picture with full wizard gear and the staff? Oh, I should do that. Did I? Yeah, I do have full wizard gear. I'm not sure going to the Ren Fair. I'm not sure. I'll share the pictures. Uh, Cloak or no cloak. I live in Washington where there is no R. And so you have to be kind of weather, even in freaking August. It could be a cold, rainy day. You never know. So I'll share these photos if I can get my thing to pay attention. There we go. You tell me, cloak or no cloak. Uh, but about the author, I don't think I should share these. I'm going to. Uh, I've had people, I think, ask me, why are why are you so weird? And I actually honestly don't know. Why is my computer not playing along? This is definitely an overshare. I blame this on the vodka. So, no cloak, cloak. Yes, the idea is to look a little gay. It's the Ren Fair. You're supposed to. Like I said, it's probably going to be weather dependent. Back to real estate. Uh, yes. Uh, oh, the staff is here too. The staff is solid metal. Looks like wood, but it's metal. No picture for about the author. I did no pictures because I wanted to be under the $20 thing. And every photo that you add adds like $4 or $3 or $4 to increasing the cost of the book. So no, not doing that. Alex. And that was it was debate. Do you go to Renfrew? Because they have a pirate weekend, and I'm not going on that weekend. Other words, I would have just taken my pirate minister gear. Alex, the accidental investor. Howdy. How would you approach? You should have went to ice cream with us the other day. How do you approach a seller finance opportunity that could lead to a duplex and a fourplex? So I go to my binder strategy course, which is free at diontalk.com, and I download the seller finance letter in there to make sure I'm not missing any of the bullet points that you want to make sure because you want to do three things when you're talking to sellers. Point out the benefits to them. You're not going to get the large capital gains hit, depreciation recapture all at once. You're going to be getting this income, payments continued without tenants, toilets, and termites. I'd rather pay interest to you than to the bank. Like they're all listed there. This is why I don't trust my memory. Go there, download the thing. What do you get out of it? If you don't point out what you get out of it, they're going to think of the scam you could be getting. You get to pay them interest instead of the bank. You get to adjust the down payment to what makes sense to both of you. You get to have a mortgage, own a note that doesn't count against the 10 conventional loans in your name that a lender will do. And then the third thing is, what are you both losing? You don't have to tell this to the seller, but you have to consider this. The seller is not getting a lump sum of money. So if you're looking at a seller finance deal and their plan was to 1031 into something bigger, seller financing is not a great option always for that. If their plan was take the money and run, if their plan was convert into another asset class for easier inheritance, you find out what they're giving up because maybe for us it makes sense that they continue to get payments every month without having to deal with the tenant issues. But it could be that's not what they're looking for. So you want to find out what matters to the seller to make sure that you're addressing their needs. And what are you giving up if you do seller financing? Flavio, good morning. Where are you that it's morning? From Grandview, Washington. I think you're like me and you must have started drinking early because you can't drink all day unless you start early. Jonathan, howdy. 487 pages. A reader gets a lot for $20. Yeah, it's 486 pages. I tried to write not to be like the what is it, the TikTok memory where, it's not in like short little blurbs, but it's sections. Most sections are a couple pages or 3 or 4 pages to cover a topic. And very rarely did I repeat myself, but sometimes I put information in two different sections because you might be going to that section when you're dealing with that issue and you won't be like reading the book chronologically every time. It was interesting to do it because it had to do the outline. What would you want included in there? And then I had to bounce it off all the people that I know that were looking for this information and test a few. I put a couple of sections on Facebook, social media to get some feedback. Shared the uh, how to analyze a deal breakdown with everybody who's in the members only group. If you're a member, you got that section of the book to get some feedback. I got feedback from a bunch of people that looked at that. Thank you for checking it out for me and letting me know that it doesn't seem like I write like a 5-year-old with brain damage. Mark, howdy. Cracked canvas. I can't wait to read it, Dion. I really think it's going to help a lot of people. That is my goal. Rich Gambino, howdy. Angry capitalist with a super chat that I missed. Even if the market does crash, just wait 10 years. The cool thing, Angry Capitalist, is if the market crashes, it's people living in fear. Lenders disappear. Then they say, don't catch a falling knife. Prices are going down. They'll start screaming double dip crash, double dip recession. So the buyers back off, which means more renters. Rents went up in most markets in 2009, 10, and 11. That's why when the lumberjack landlord, Michael Zuber, and myself doing the Three Amigos, we talk about the real estate crash. We hope for one just like everyone else does. We think, oh, yeah, we could buy it on sale. We're actually positioned to do that. They were able to do it because they could had relationships with lenders, but it increases rental demand. I mean, we don't want to crash. We don't want people to suffer. But if one does, here's how you benefit from it. Wealth with rentals. Howdy, angry capitalist. Wealth with rentals. I am seeing people interested, but their most problem is credit score. What score do you require for your rentals? So usually if credit score is bad, your rents might be towards the higher end because the people with better credit that are making better decisions have done a rent study and are thinking you're at market or above. So I like to be a little bit below market. Even if I don't make as much every month as I could, I don't have months without rental income. 1 month will offset $100 every month, basically. Um, So for most of my rentals, I require 700. There have been times where I've gone for 650, but I also look at credit history and I'll take a cosigner. So if you have people applying and their credit score is bad, can they find a cosigner whose signature is notarized? Right? Don't, it's too easy for people to fake a signature on a cosigner. I would want it notarized. So I've done that. Then I also look at credit history, right? Is there something significant that happened a couple of years ago that caused the mess that they're in? And does it look like it's improving? Like you can look at the whole picture. I will look at the whole picture for credit score. I will not look at the whole picture for evictions. There is no justifiable anything with an eviction that's on record that would let me rent to somebody. There's plenty of other places that they can go to. So I'm not saying they have to be homeless. They just can't rent one of mine. Harsh reality to fire. Howdy. I am late to the live, but that's okay. I sound good as a chipmunk. Make sure I'm not missing any other super chats. Okay. John, howdy from Memphis. Howdy. Charles McCune, howdy. The reason I have any money is because I decided to control my money when I had no money. That is so true. And I love the memes of if you can't control $10, you're not going to control $100,000. And I think David Green explained it really good one time. He says, if you're out of shape and you want to be in shape, you have to live like an in shape person, right? You don't think, once I have a six pack, man, I'm going to work out every day. You work out every day like an in shape person does, and eventually you'll have hopefully a better shaped body. You can't think, once I'm rich, I will invest. Like, there are people who say stuff like that. The question is usually, if you won the lottery, what would you buy? Not, what will you buy that will let you buy more things? Reaching financial freedom by putting your money to work, in my opinion, is better than winning the lottery. 70% of large influx of cash is bankrupt within 5 years. So sports players, lottery winners, people who inherit and stuff. Because if you didn't grow it and build it, you usually don't know how to own it and manage it. But if you're investing and you got a bigger amount of money, you would put it to work and you'd be fine usually. But also winning the lottery is not easy to reproduce. Versus, I have absolute confidence if I lost everything and started again tomorrow, it would take me about 10 years, but I'd be financially free and my kids would inherit millions again. That feels better than winning the lottery. Ninja Vanish, I will buy the fantasy novel when it comes out. Dark Spring. Towards the end of tonight, let me know if you want a breakdown on what the novel is about. Dark Spring took back a message to make me lose sleep forever and ever and wonder what was said. Cameron, howdy. Vatsal, howdy. Watching from the beginning, are you going to continue with 5% rent every other year with rent control being in place? Nope. I did a whiteboard video probably 2 or 3 months ago now. I don't know if I'll do that again, but I did it 2 or 3 months ago showing that rent control is going to make me $138,000 more in the next 2 years than I was going to make because there was going to be no increase in 2025. Now there's a 7. I sent an email to every single tenant saying before the bill went through, if this bill doesn't pass, no rent control or no rent increase for 2025. If the bill passes, the 7% increase starts on this day, giving them way more than the 90 days that was required. September 1st, three of those kick in. So thanks for voting in the rent control. And then there would be a 5% next year. Now there's going to be a 7% next year also. And then in 2027, there will be a 7% again when there would not have been one because I was going to do 5% every other year. So now there's going to be 21% increase over the next 25, 26, 27, where there would have been a five. I went from 5 to 21 because of rent control. I'm still going to be just below area average because area average is going up faster than my 7% increase because landlords are forcing tenant turnover. An example is answering a question for somebody earlier today. The idea was if the rent's too low, here are the legal ways you get rid of the tenant so you can just get the rents up to where you need them. That's what rent control does. It makes the owners richer and more tenants homeless. So no, not 5%. It's entirely possible at some point, 5 or 10 years from now, I catch up to area average rents. I doubt it. They'd have to flatline for about 4 years. And then my rents will stay where rents are because area average rents set rents. Area average rents were higher than mine, and 5% every other year was enough to keep me happy. I probably could have made more money, but it's not always about more money. It's about being fair with the tenants. Now that I can't make an adjustment for a black swan event, another pandemic, a stock market crash, an eviction moratorium, a prolonged government shutdown, something that none of us see coming, maybe something we haven't even had yet, I can't adjust if rents go up significantly. So I'm forced to do 7% every year. Now I could do 7% plus inflation. I'm just doing 7%. Part of my binder strategy is letting the tenants know they're not getting the full maximum increase. They're still below area average. So I'm doing the binder strategy every year and a 7% increase. Thank you, All Nighter Hider, and happy day after your birthday wishes. Javon Music Group. Howdy. I found a good deal, a duplex at a good price that's been on the market more than 120 days. Found out the previous owner converted ground flat to residential, but it's zoned commercial. Thoughts? I would find out from, or if you're in a municipality or county, what does it take to rezone? And what are the restrictions if it's zoned commercial? Uh, I could tell you that Pierce County, Washington, is not very fun to work with on commercial crap, trying to make it residential. Hypothetical story. Don't sue me, bro. Let's say you run a truck driving school and you build on-site housing because you have people who are homeless who get state or federal funding to get trained to get a job so they can get off the streets, and you make a livable area for them so they can have free on-site housing and go from homeless to the school to get a job. Now, some of them went against my wishes and went with an over-the-road company so they can live in the truck. I get it. I like local jobs. You make more money. You're home every night. Actually changed the company motto to be home every night. And the stupid ass county comes in and goes, nobody can sleep here overnight. We know that you train 24 hours a day. People can work here 24 hours a day because we have different shifts, but no one's allowed to sleep here. People frustrate me. No good deed goes unpunished. Jeffrey White, howdy. Cheers. Can't wait to read your book. Same. Um, Jeff, are you add as moderator? If you would, Jeff, put in a link to your book since I don't have a link to it, but that would be cool. I am looking forward to reading yours. This is exciting. You're also a moderator of the channel now, so you have a job. Cloak, nice. Cloak. I am surprised how many people said cloak. Everyone, you just, hey, I get it. It's like the beard. The more you cover, the better. The glasses on the outside videos, the more you cover, the better. The cloak covers more. I get it. My nephew was like, ooh, sun's out, guns out, no cloak. Uh, nice. Cool. I am gonna have to screenshot that and show it to the people who are going with me because they were like, no cloak. And then the potion bottles that are all over the bracers and the belt thing is going to be full of otter pop liquid because I'm a nerd. Uh, Jeffrey White, thank you for the super chat. That was much appreciated. Every time I do a live stream, my watch is like, you've been sitting for a while. You should walk around. Yeah, look at the conversion, Javon, see what it's like with your municipality. I think in Thurston County, I'd be fine with that. Kitsap County, outside of city limits, probably fine with it. I have good interaction with the county here. Pierce County, I don't think I would mess with it. Ryan, I'm here for a limited time. Just got through TSA and about to board my flight soon. Yep, traveling sucks. Being there is amazing. Robes, cloak, cloak, definitely cloak, cloak. I like it. Cool. You have spoken. It will be cloak. Charles McCune. What's up, Hider? Cloak. Good. Thank you. Looking forward to buying the book. Cameron, thank you. I hope. I'm looking forward to the feedback. I will, of course, appreciate every review. Looking forward to as many five-star reviews as we can get because that helps promote the book. Be appreciated. Calvin Coolidge, howdy. Thanks for your consistent messaging, YouTubing. In a few years, I'm a few years from you're a few years from financial freedom. Thank you. Awesome. Let's get you there. It is very worth it. It's not always easy. It is not, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's definitely worth it. Even if you decide to continue working, like you can get financial freedom and then keep working. But man, life is so much better when you have options. Okay, I have a 12 pack. Exactly. Mine turned into a keg. Michelle, absolutely, Dion. I love the idea for selfish reasons. Cool. No, I'm happy to do that. Perfect for Spanish. Thank you. Thank you. Cameron, when should we expect your Amazon to let us buy the book? I've been checking every few minutes to see if it ever gets updated. It's currently not available. It said it should be available within 72 hours. And I posted it Sunday evening, and I don't know that Sunday evening counts. So end of day Wednesday, probably at the latest. BuzzTune, of your favorite books and authors, is there anything you adopted into your book formatting style? Um, so I did three things that could have incorporated. Most of the book reads like we're having a conversation. Like I'm telling somebody, this is how uh, debt set me free. The power of debt, the different types of debt, the different types of, bad, worse, good. There's three types of debt. Like I'm explaining it like that. So that I don't think I borrowed that from anybody. I mean, the book has chapters. I've probably seen chapters in every other book out there, but I have sections in each chapter. I don't know that I've seen too many people do it that way because it reads more like an instruction manual, like a car manual from the 70s. But the part that's my story, I wrote it in my words, like this is how I think and this is how I talk. And then I sat down and I thought, okay, if I wrote like Stephen King, who I can't stand as an author, I read almost all of his books because so many people do, and I like to be able to have a conversation with people who read a lot. What would it be like? And then I wrote it in the form of Dean Koontz. Now, I'm an avid fan of Dean Koontz. Stephen King, can't stand him. I think he's a terrible author. I think his writing style sucks. I think he got lucky with a couple of TV movie things and it blew up from there. But not a fan. I think it's my opinion, but I think half his books are ghostwritten. But Dean Koontz has a writing style. So I took my story and I thought, okay, if Dean Koontz was writing this, it was a half the length of what I wrote, but it used words that, while they convey the thought, it's not how I think, it's not how I talk, it's how I love to read. Like Stephen King will take 2 pages to talk about the noises in a room and the way that it echoes and the pitch of the marble and all of this crap. And then Dean Koontz will go, the auditory tapestry. And like 2 words describes the entire scene of the room. He's just such a good author, but it's not how I talk. So I didn't use like borrow from the authors that I like. Um, yeah, that's a good question. But no, I think I just tried to go. if I was in a room with people and we were talking about this concept of this page, what would I actually say? And tried to put that in sentence structure. And then somebody else took back. Chester took back a message to make me lose sleep forever and ever and wonder what's happening. Jeff White. Thanks, Dan. Here's the House Hackers book to Denver or any expensive market. Thank you. Hopefully is there a link there? Oh, there it is. Cool. Appreciate it. Everybody should check that out. Vodka potions. Yeah. I don't know how that will handle with the cork lids. Is in here? What are they? So you get a potion bottle. I don't know how, I'll have to test one and see how alcohol does with the cork. I don't think it'll. Hmm. Well, there's my late night experiment that's going to happen today. Thanks for that. Drink responsibly. Do not drink and make offers. Christine, howdy, congratulations. It was great to see you featured on Zuber's daily update the other day on 80 offers before going under contract and getting the new property. That's awesome. Congratulations. And right, Alex, the accidental investor, thank you. Pre-rent control binder strategy rent increase go into effect August 1st. Thanks, Dion, for the 600 a month. Looking forward to my first order of 10 books for gifts. That's too awesome. You're my hero. Uh, yeah, the $600 a month is great. And like seriously, congratulations. The happy tenants, the not having a tenant turnover, you not having to rehab a unit when they move, not having to list the unit, not having to screen the new tenants, and your tenants are happy. Like that's a win for me. I love it. Thank you, Alex. Is it next Friday that you're off, or is it the Friday after that? And my chat moved, so I'm trying to find my place. Sorry. Got the book from Jeff. Same here with the link. There you go. Good. You guys got him in there. Perfect. Thanks you. Thank you, Charles. I was laid off in 2006. I was so excited to return to self-employment. The manager was so disturbed by my reaction. This is so different from the others. Yeah, it was the same thing when I got laid off from law enforcement. They cut three positions, and I kind of went, I have a CDL. It took me 9 days to find a job that made more money than I made as a cop. I don't think they were expecting that. They thanked you for the rent increase. So I've got a video of my friend Dan. I don't have it queued up or I would play it. He got thanked when he served eviction papers. It's all in the presentation. It's coming Friday. Yep, you have to text me and we'll set something up. Cool. Unless I'm missing some questions, I think we're there. If you have any questions, I'll give you a minute to get them in the chat. My computer seems to be running slow, which is weird. I think it's the links that does it to it. So James Garnhart, thank you. And then reference to Jason Hartman, I'll tell you before I read the rest of the comment, I've seen it, but I haven't read it yet. I'm a fan. What I like to use Jason Hartman for is the compared to what. Every time somebody says something like foreclosures are up 60%, right? Well, compared to what? They were at zero for a year, so 60% more is still really small. I hear Jason Hartman say real estate might not be a good investment by 2040 due to declining birth rates. Does this worry you at all? No. And my answer, how can I do this without getting absolutely canceled? There is an an element of society, is that what you would put? An ethnic group, a religious group that has 3 to 8 wives, 8 to 15 kids. The UK, every mayor of every major city belongs to this sect. Canada's having the same issue. That's what's I believe is going to happen. The birth rate's declining, sure, amongst people currently in the census, but there are growing groups. Now the challenge will be, does that mean that we get to go under their version of law? Which they go, oh, it's not a law, it's a court, and everybody has to volunteer to be a part of it. Sure, currently. Uh, I don't think population is going to decline. Declining birth rates, I think idiocracy is going to happen, right? I've got some intelligent kids. My friends have intelligent kids. They look at each other and they go, kids are expensive. We shouldn't have any. So they don't have any. Then we got friends who have kids who are tards and they have seven. So, right out of the movie Idiocracy, the least intelligent people are reproducing the most. Yeah. Doesn't concern me at all. Um, I think by 2040, the biggest concern I have that this is how unreal my brain goes to when it comes to being concerned about something. We have at any point in time, aliens can show up and they can have technology way beyond ours, and they can go instant housing made, or they can go teleport to this planet and live here, and then we won't have enough people to rent. And yeah, I'd probably have to go back to work. That's how far out it would have to go. I'm not worried about declining birth rates. I'm more worried about what work is happening. Look at the infrastructure that's being built in certain areas, right? I think Zuber talked about it, or somebody who I watched this morning was talking about the infrastructure going around Pittsburgh on the AI infrastructure expenses and the jobs that that's going to create. So many people are worried about what AI is going to take away. They're forgetting the jobs that it's going to make. Can some local areas get less populated? Yes. I don't want to own in cities. I think as more and more remote work becomes an option, and every time I say it, some goober goes, well, there's a big push to get people back in the office. Yeah, it went from 46% of people can work remotely down to 44% of people can work remotely. Companies are pushing for it, but people will just leave that company and go to one that isn't requiring you to go to the office. We have learned that in the Zoom world, you can have Zoom jobs. I want to own 45 minutes to an hour and a half outside of the bigger cities. Rents are pushing up, prices haven't pushed up as fast. Uh, and while I do invest for decades, I'm not so concerned with 2040. If you're 10 right now and you're thinking, okay, investing by 2060, things are going to change between now and then. But real estate's been around a couple thousand years as ownership. I don't know that it's going to change fast enough for in our lifetimes for us to worry about it. It's a good valid concern, uh, but it's not one of mine. I'll have to, if you have a link to that, James, if you could send me the video where Jason was talking about that, I'd like to get more context on what he was talking about. Because I am a Jason Hartman fan. I believe he's going to be presenting at an event that I will be presenting at within the next year. Not BiggerPockets. I don't know that he's going there, but a different one. Fati, howdy. Hopefully you can make the course call in an hour. Howdy, everyone. I'm just getting off work and watching from the beginning. Amazon link saved and looking forward to seeing the status switching to available. Yeah, me too. I'm checking every now and then, but it's not there yet. Well, AI data center infrastructure investment. Exactly. Andres, howdy. I want to put several offers in a short period of time for several properties, but real estate agent seems to be lazy. Can I put offers on myself or do I need another agent? Have you signed an exclusivity agreement with the agent that you're working with? And from the agent's point of view, so I'll just devil's advocate this for you for a second. So it's not like I'm agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just going to play the other side on purpose to make you think, help you think. Are these properties that you found on the MLS that have just been listed and you don't know how many offers they're going to get? And are you making low offers? Right? If it's been on the market 100 days and you make a low offer, I think the agent should just do it. If it came out within the last 5 days and you want to make an 80% offer, I think the agent should go, that's a waste of everybody's time and possibly can hurt my reputation. So, yeah, you can change agents, but I would be really careful. Have you signed an exclusivity agreement? A lot of them do that. How long has it got on it? And have you explained to the agent why you want to make so many offers? What if three of them got accepted? Would you be able to follow through on all three? Could you get the financing to go through, or would you have to back out on two? So the agent could be trying to control somebody that they don't know you've done the research and you know what you're doing, or maybe you're just excited and you want to make a bunch of offers. So they're trying to not damage their relationship with agents in their market. They're trying to not waste their time or your time. So I would look at all of the aspects. Are the offers you're making reasonable? Right? If it came out yesterday, it's an app list or above list offer in most cases. You could see one that's just listed ridiculously high and you want to make an offer at a reasonable amount in case they realize that how high it is. But I haven't seen that happen very often. I've usually seen properties priced at a good amount or lower to draw interest. And then if they sit a long time, that means there's some problem most people aren't willing to solve. Go find out what the problem is and see if you can solve it. Everyone's going to be wearing Crocs like Idiocracy. That is where they came from, or when they really became popular. And Chester took back another message. Charles, once you learn how to win, it's hard to forget no matter what changes. Once you learn how to win, this is the real struggle. And I use this often. I did this as a CDL instructor when I was helping a new instructor become a better instructor. It is really difficult to remember what it's like to not know something. Teach your kids how to tie their shoes. You just tie your shoe, it's muscle memory. But teach somebody how to do it. Why does it have to go a certain way? What are you actually doing with your fingertips? Now teach somebody how to downshift, what a 400 RPM range change is, and that you have to actually speed the engine up when the vehicle's slowing down. Like none of that makes sense if you have never done it. But once you've done it, it's just what you do. It's really hard to teach that. Once you learn how to win, it's actually kind of hard to have a conversation with the people who still think, I wish I had a lot of money in the bank. I wish I made more. I wish the minimum wage was $30 an hour. People who know what the impact would those be know that having a bunch of money in the bank means you're losing out to inflation, and that the faster you can put it to work and buy an investment that cash flows or appreciates more than inflation is how you actually get wealthy. But breaking it down to the basics to explain to somebody who doesn't know is hard once you know how. In Pittsburgh, Chester, yep, exactly. Financial Fighter, you're live today. That's probably where I heard it. Exactly. His latest, Jason Hartman. I'll check it out. Ninja Vanish. I remember a few years ago telling a lady that worked at Rite Aid that I worked remotely. She said she would never do that and made a weird face. The Rite Aid she worked at is now closing. Yeah, the one here in Port Orchard where I live closed too. And Fred Meyer is closing a store, not in Port Orchard, but close to us. A lot of large stores like that are closing. And there are people who would say the same thing. I wouldn't want to work remotely. It's my work family. I want to be around them. Charles, 200 if you are splitting. Once you learn how to win, hard to forget no matter what changes. Yeah, you got a 13 speed and you're splitting a gear. It is 200. Yeah, it's nice to have a truck driver in there. There you go. Not explaining that on a real estate channel, but it is cool to know that there are people out there who knew it. I don't think I knew it for 17 years as a truck driver. I had no idea how the air system worked. I had no idea. I had lights and buzzers come on at some point when you start losing air. And then I became a CDL instructor, and you have to actually learn what you're teaching. And I was like, oh, like there's requirements here. How do RPMs work? And while as a driver, I will tell you, you should never use the clutch if the vehicle's in motion, the test included double clutching. So I had to learn it to teach it after driving for 17 years. It's good stuff. Nobody knows what the future holds. Be sure to invest in yourself and buy assets. Yep. The thing they can't take away is the knowledge you have. Teaching double clutching is a fun time. Yes. Especially when for me, the first year of trying to teach double clutching was really hard because I had the habit of it's better on the truck to float, no clutch. Like a gear will go into a gear it's ready for, whereas double clutching will get you into a gear it's close to ready for. Ninja Vanish, she was a nice lady. Yep. I actually really struggle with that Ninja Vanish, especially with the age thing. When I see somebody who's at work and I can tell they're trapped at work and it hurts them to move and they're doing whatever, working at Lowe's, helping me find whatever stupid thing the app didn't have correct that day, or working at a restaurant, being a server. And I think, man, the decisions that it took to end up here in your 60s or 70s when it hurts to get out of bed and you have to be here. It's a little frustrating that more people who reached financial freedom didn't take the time to turn around and grab more people and say, hey, here's another option. There's another way. Thank you, Wealth Reynolds. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the book. Now's your chance. Cheap boats on Craigslist. Yeah, I did. So, Rob, I did some research on the boats and I actually found one that came down to a price that was reasonable. And a friend had a boat. He has a 24-foot boat. He bought a 40-foot and he's got the 24. Basically was going to give it to me at cost, what he's got into it. Wasn't even trying to make any money. And so it's a steal. I went and looked at it and we went through the list of like, this is the maintenance that needs to happen because it's been sitting for a couple of years. And my little lazy brain said, every boat, whether it gets used every day or it sits for a couple of years, has this maintenance schedule. I'm way too lazy to do that. So I'm going to join one of those yacht clubs where you are a member and you rent the boat for a day or two and go out and do dives that way. Jeffrey White. I want to rent to a veteran, but there's only one space for space within 15 to 30 minutes of my properties. How should I find them? Can I reach out directly to that Space Force base or something else? Advertise on the colleges and find the veterans that are using their GI Bill. While they're attending college, which can be sometimes longer at that college than they would be stationed at a at a base, they're going to be getting paid basic allowance for housing at E5 level. So go online, use your zip code, and search basic allowance for housing, military housing rates in this zip code. Check out the E5 rating because that's what they get paid in college. So if you're around a college, Jeff, that's another option to find veterans. I'd have to go through the list. I know one was in the Air Force and he got stationed, so he was active duty. I got a veteran who uh, once or twice a year the VA pays. He goes in and says, I can't bank my rent, and they send me a check for next month's rent. It's weird. So he's a veteran and he's a college guy. Yeah. So I think when I'm looking for veterans, it's the base or the colleges. Because if service member or veteran to me kind of counts as military. Yeah. Add that to your search. Haiti, howdy, from California. I'm very sorry for where you live. I grew up in Palmdale-ish, towards Roseman. Took an oath, wasn't going to go back. Broke it to go talk at Zuber's event. Asked my realtor, and I didn't even go to like my mom's funeral. I was like, you want me at your funeral? You got to come to Washington and die. I went and saw her before she passed, but I didn't go to the funeral because that's for the living people. And I know my family. I don't like most of them. Too much drinking. So about 30-year seller financing offers. I asked my realtor about 30-year seller financing offers for 5 units, and she said those aren't done. Only short-term finance while the buyer finds financing through a bank. So no reason to argue with your agent. But when it comes to talking to seller financing, you are the negotiator. Consent is golden. You can get people to agree to anything. You have no idea why they're exiting the property. You're creating a note, right? You're creating a note, and that note they might sell if they need the money sooner. You could do balloon payment, you could do all kinds of things, but initially ask for 30-year fixed rate. I'd rather pay you interest than a bank. You will own a note in case you need the money sooner, you could sell it. Agents a lot of times will say seller financing is illegal. So not that they don't have to know what you're doing and that it's legal. Theodore Davis, Dion's beard making him look extra handsome today. It's got to be a filter somewhere. So little cat ears will pop up here in a minute. I should put the cloak on. The more I cover, the better. I was trying to decide between the sword and the staff. Battle wizard doesn't translate very well. So yeah, Haiti, its consent is golden, and people will say these deals have never happened until they see one happen. They are rare to get even a seller finance deal to happen. And one of the problems with agents is their idea of seller financing is a seller comes in and says, I want to sell my property. Seller financing is an option. Put it in the listing that I am okay with doing seller financing. But here's my terms. Where a lot of really good seller financing happens is from like Cody and Christian from Multifamily Strategies. Both of them have come and spoken for the course in the last couple of course calls. A lot of times they meet the owner and they develop the relationship of, hey, I want to learn from you. How'd you do what you did? And eventually it becomes a sale. The seller was never even thinking seller financing. They didn't know it was an option. You present, hey, would you like to skip paying capital gains on this and just make income every year? Would you like to continue to make money even once you sell the asset? Like the presentation to make it an option for the seller isn't something agents see. So yeah, I wouldn't care about the agent saying that's just not done. They don't know that it's done. Advertise with MWR, Jeff. Yep, that's a good one, Chester. MWR is a good option. That's usually who you call. Call MWR for the Space Force base because there will be the one there, even if it's that far away, and say, who handles housing for this installation? I would like to advertise with them. That's a good way to list that, to find out who does it there. They might even say, we don't really do housing here, but here's where people find it. And then you know where to go advertise. What's it make? Can you do a video on new tenant orientation expectations? I can do that. I've done videos on you just closed on a rental, what do? So they're new tenants to you. But how to set tenant expectations. Because I've talked about that a lot in these long videos, but I should do a short video so it's searchable on how does the tenant know what fire, flood, or blood is? How do you present the landlord introduction letter? How do I create currently today my landlord introduction letter? I could do that in that video. So yeah, landlord introduction letter. Okay. Thank you for the suggestion. I will, what's it make? I will definitely do that. Andres, hey Dion, if I don't have any legal agreement with my agent, can I just go put offers myself? You can reach out to listing agents and say, hey, I'm interested in buying. Would you represent both of us? Sometimes they'll get a little bit bigger commission that way. I'm not sure how it all works because I'm not an agent. I have a laundry list of reasons why I'm not an agent. So yes, you can, as long as you don't have an agreement with your current agent. I would probably do clear communication with your agent saying, I understand you don't want to do these many offers. Here's my mentality. I'm doing a low offer because it sat a long time, or I'm doing a lot of offers at ask price because I want to get in front of as many sellers as I can. If you're not interested, I am just going to reach out to the listing agents and make my offers through them. That might wake them up. So yeah, clear communication. And I think we are through all of the comments and questions. We will do one last check. Is the book available? No. I'll put the link in the chat one more time, even though it is not currently available, because Amazon, like Chester, likes to make me wonder by taking messages back. Charles, the last seller finance I did, he was smarter than I was. So I asked stupid questions and let him work the deal. 1,000 down, 1,000 a month, 4.5, 119 payments. As long as the deal worked and the numbers still worked for you at the end. Smarter than you maybe because he did the paperwork, not smarter than you because he negotiated better than you. I think that's what you meant, right? He did the paperwork and knew how to do it. There you go. The world is full of people that are smarter than us. We should reach out to them. When I started making DSCR offers, because I was looking for more than 4 units, Convoy Home Loans, Velocity Mortgage, I have never done a DSCR loan. They asked for me to grow up. They said, we need you to do a personal financial statement. I had never done one. So I reached out to Matt, the lumberjack landlord. I said, you're smarter than me. How does this work? It is okay not to be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Chester, there were misspelled messages. Ah, sure. I think you said something like, ha, Dion hasn't seen this. I'm going to take it back. Ninja Vanish. I found an incredible deal on a luxury property listed in MLS just outside the city. I called the listing agent for my dad to gather info. There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, you can, if you're not violating an agreement with an agent, a lot of people reach out to the listing agent because they're supposed to present every offer to the seller, right? Legally, supposed to present every offer. Their motivation to take the offer where they get it's not quite both the commissions. I've heard it's like almost the whole buyer's commission. Uh, Puts you in a stronger light when they present the offer to the seller. They gave up a lot of info, including the seller is moving out of state and must sell. Also, I asked if it is worth writing an offer. If it is less than list price, the agent said yes. Yeah, that's always worth getting an offer in and seeing what they counter and thinking of that never split the difference. If it's listed for 500 and you want to pay 480, I would offer 460. Let them counter with 480 or whatever your numbers are. Yeah, don't be afraid to call a listing agent and probe for infos. One of the reasons I got my last property is because I called the utility companies. I was just trying to verify, is this a single family house or is it a duplex? Because it isn't listed very clearly and it wasn't advertised right. There was the word duplex in there once, but it was listed as single family. Like there was a bunch of just weird stuff. So I called the listing of the utility companies and they gave me a ton of info. Yes, there's two electric meters. That's about all I got from them. Average expense they gave me. And then I called the gas company, which I've ripped out all the gas because I don't do gas. But I called them and they go, oh, yeah, there's 2 meters there. And the owner's side is out of service due to lack of payment that we have had to send to collections. And I was like, oh, they're having money problems. I should definitely stick to my lower number because they have to sell. You never know what you're going to learn by reaching out and trying to get information. You might find people that say, I can't share that information with you. But most people, if you present it as, hey, I'm looking at buying this property, I'm just trying to verify are there 2 meters or 1 meter, then let silence do its trick. People want to fill silence. I know, Chester, I trust you, but I'm always going to make that joke, no matter who takes a message back. I've probably taken messages back and messed with myself about it in some video at some point. If you're in the course, I hope to see you in the course call tonight at 6 o'clock. Remember, this is a non-recorded, won't be uploaded to the course call where we talk about the gray area sketchy stuff that we can't say on YouTube. Jeff, I'm a licensed agent in Colorado. Not sure what state you are in, Ninja Vanish, but there is a thing called transaction broker or dual agency. It depends on the state the property is in. Right. You've got to know your local laws and definitely know if you are on an exclusivity agreement with your agent because that can get you into all kinds of problems. I hope everybody has a week full of amazing. I will pin a comment with a link to the book in the comments after the live is over. Hopefully, by the time you watch this in Futureland, the book is actually available because Amazon likes to mess with me. Then the last thing I'll ask, I'm doing a paperback version. I'm going to do Audible. That's going to take 4 or 5 months. Should I do a hardback cover? They're way more expensive to make, so the cost would be more. Don't know that. I don't know if anybody wants hardback. Uh, and should I do an ebook? Ciao.